Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Life with Loverly podcast. Today's episode feels like one of those soul filling conversations you have over a cup of coffee with someone who just gets it. I'm sitting down with Brooke Jensen, who you probably know as the Broke Brooke on Instagram, a blogger, mom of two, former CPA, and content creator, growing her following through sharing her fashion and home finds. I've known Brooke for a while and just love anytime I get a chance to chat with her. In today's episode, we're talking about how her husband encouraged her to step into the content creation world, what it means to have a style that feels like you, and how to navigate phone boundaries with our children. Brooke is also sharing the reality behind building a brand. And of course, I'm asking her about her go to outfits that keep her going in this crazy season of life. Brooke will feel like one of your best friends after listening to this episode. She'll encourage your mama heart and inspire your personal dreams. Here's my conversation with Brooke Jensen. Hi, friends. Welcome back to today's episode of the Life with Loverly podcast. I have one of my friends who I have known for the last several years and have just loved getting to know even more. Brooke Jensen is on the podcast today. Hey, Brooke.
Hi, I am
How's it going?
so excited to be here. I have followed along with you since, like, the very beginning, and so it's surreal that,
Ah,
like, I'm on here today.
oh my gosh. Well, I remember when I texted you and was like, "Hey, you wanna, like, maybe come on the podcast?" I feel like you were like, "I'm sorry, did you, like, send this to the wrong person?"
So I asked my husband, I was like, "Why did she want me?"
Well, after this episode, our listeners will understand why I asked you because you're full of lots of great information, and I'm just excited to dig a little bit back into, like, the starting of the Broke Brook and all of this, so it's gonna be a really great episode. I'm very happy to have you on board.
I am so excited.
Okay, you guys just got back from a trip. Y'all were in California?
We were, yes. Andrew's brother, just moved out there not too long ago. His wife is from California, and so now it's just, like, the perfect excuse for us to have somewhere to go. It's beautiful, they're in Newport Beach, and so we, like, popped over to Disney for one day, and I was like, "This is just amazing," and it's the time of year in California where I wore a sweatshirt, like, most of the day when we were at Disney World. It was awesome.
Yeah. Anytime I've been to California in, like, the summer, well, it depends on, like, what part of California, but, like, I've always been so shocked with, like, how you do kinda need some layers.
Yeah, you do. Well, and that's what I came back and because here it's just humid
Yeah.
immediately in June, and I was like, now I understand why brands, make summer sweatshirts.
Right?
I
Like,
never had that.
exactly. I know. Well, and you guys were just in, Nantucket a few weeks ago, which I'm still, like, really sad that I was not able to be there this year.
No, I hope that, you can come with us again next year. We're gonna change the
Yes.
timing a little bit, but it was amazing. I worked with, La Luxury Travel and then Nantucket Hotel. We just kind of, like, decided that creators needed this, like, space to get together, and I mean, that's how
Yeah.
you and all these
Yeah.
conversations that happen on the side, and so we brought in some amazing brands, and we branded it as Tastemaker Travels. And so brought all these people to Nantucket, and it was truly amazing. Like everybody was awesome. We just truly connected, and it was
Yeah.
such a great trip.
It looked like everybody was having the time of their lives, and it seemed like all of the brands that were part of it were, like, also having so much fun. Like, it just felt like, wow,
Oh,
like, this is what, like, an influencer community, like, gathering should
absolutely.
be.
Well, and that's what I'm like, it was very organic because I felt like everybody that came, we have similar interests, we
Yeah.
share similar content, the brands that we work with, are very similar, and so all of these were just a very natural fit,
Mhm.
because we always we're always posting about those brands, so
Totally.
it was a pinch me that we made it all happen. We were kind of like, "Is this gonna be a fire festival and we're gonna get people there?" And that was kind of our running joke that we were like, "Are we really gonna be able to pull this off?" And yes, it was so much fun.
Okay, yeah, so I had drinks with Beth and Charlie, and they when I was in Palm Beach, and they were just, like, raving about how much fun they had and, like, just even the little hiccups of, like, the weather and, things that were, like, so out of y'all's control and how everybody was just like, "It doesn't matter, like, we're having the best time, hanging out, doesn't matter." Yeah, I will be there next time, so
Yeah.
hold my spot.
We would love to have you.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Dillard's.
Oh my god.
I know that you're working right now on like Christmas for this holiday, right?
We are, yes. Yeah, it's, Dillard's has been truly another pinch me just part of this whole trajectory that I can't even believe happened because so I grew up in a small town and it's called Salina, Kansas, and it's not like there's, like, a lot of things to be able to go do, and so
Yeah.
Dillard's was where my mom and I went to go shop. And when I found out I was pregnant with a girl, I had gone home to tell my parents, and the first thing that we did is my mom and I went out to Dillard's and we bought a little girl outfit in Edge Hill collection. And so then when all of this came full circle, I told Alexandra, I was like, "That is the first outfit that I ever bought her Charleston." And the fact that
Yeah.
I get to design a collection for Edge Hill is just I mean, it's just icing on the cake. It truly amazing.
Talk about a full circle moment,
I know.
like something that was so just important and like a really special thing for like you and your mom to go do, and then like your daughter to be able to wear that to now you're designing a collection. Not even the first one. This is what, the
Yeah,
second,
this is the
third?
second one, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we did one, for spring and Easter last year, and this
Yes.
one is holiday, and there's a little bit of Thanksgiving and then holiday, and it is oh my goodness, it turned out so special. It
Yeah.
can't wait for you to see it.
Any of, like, the little behind the scenes or, like, sneaks that you've done, I'm just like, "Oh my goodness, I can't wait to, like, see the full thing." And I feel like right now Dillard's is doing such an amazing job working with influencers, partnering, making their like, the partnerships that they are doing, whether it's, like, women or children, they are all so elevated and chic.
They are so elevated, chic, and the quality is amazing at
Yes.
Dillard's, and that's what I think people didn't realize that, and it's been really, really cool to so the influencer partner, is Alexandra Dillard Delucci,
Uh-huh.
and her father is running Dillard's right now, and so she has been, like, the mastermind behind all
Yeah.
this, that she came in and she decided that they needed to get influencers on board, and it has just it's been amazing because every collection I personally am so excited for.
Yeah.
I go shop
I
and
know.
so it's just I know, I'm like, every single one, even, and it's introduced me to people that I wasn't necessarily following before,
Totally.
and,
Same.
they've all brought something different, but so special.
I agree. I was thinking the other day I was with some of the girls on my team and we were just talking about like some of like just where to find certain pieces and how I'm always like, "Oh, well, I feel like I always go to Dillard's and they're like my fallback, like I will find something there."
Yeah.
And we were kinda looking through some of their new arrivals, and it just reminded me a few of the pieces I've had from them over the years are, like, ones I keep in my closet to, like,
Yes.
rewear. It's not like "Oh, well, I'll pass this or give it to a friend or whatever." It's like, no, I want, like, that has, like, a memory in my head with, like, some event I wore it to, and I don't wanna pass it up.
Right.
I feel like that's just, like, their quality is just really great,
It's
so
really great, and the prices are such at a point that I feel like you're getting this luxury,
yeah,
at something that a lot more people can is accessible, which is
totally.
exactly what I'm always looking for.
Exactly, I know. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. When you were at the Big 4 as a CPA,
Yeah.
did were you still, like, a fashion lover? Kind of, like tell me a little bit about working
Yes,
before
so
this.
what's so crazy is I was in my so you do 4 years of accounting, and then you have to go back for 1 more year of your master's, and that is where you get enough credits to be able to sit for the CPA exam, and I remember my friend, Katie Cox, and we were sitting in our living room, and we were studying for the CPA, and she was like, "You have to come look at this. Like, this is so cool." And we were looking at Julia and, Atlantic Pacific, and that
Yeah.
was back in 2010, 2011. Um, and I remember and we were like, "I wish I could do something like this." And I just was like, "That's just not in the cards for me. That would never happen."
Yeah.
Never happen. And so that's another point that I'm like, "Oh my goodness, like, I how did I get here?" Because I can't believe that but yes, so to answer your question, I have always loved fashion, and I was reading them since the very beginning, and it was what I would do in my free
Yeah.
time.
Totally. I mean, I really feel like those 2, bloggers essentially, like, back when it was, like, people had blogs,
Yeah,
they were some of the original girls that really, like, kicked off this, like, people starting to be curious, like, "Wait a second, like, this seems
yeah.
really cool." So I totally get that. So then what was the transition from being a CPA to stepping into the influencer space? Like, how did that process go? What did that look like?
Well, so I laugh because my husband, Andrew, is a man of many hobbies. He's a urologist, but he got into photography, he got into archery, he got into backpacking. I mean, and so he was in his photography phase and he was trying to take pictures and learn how to do this. And he was always trying to take my picture. And I was like, stop taking my picture. This is so awkward. Like, I do not want my picture taken. And he was like, you need to become a blogger. And I was like, I could never do that. Like, I'm so awkward. I can't take photos. And he was just like, "Let me try. Please just let me try to take a photo of you." And so I just went for it and, it's awkward in the beginning
Yeah.
to take
You're like, "Why?" I mean, I remember, like, being in public and then, like, Chris taking pictures and, like, people walk by and I'm like, "Oh, sorry," like, "Ooh," like, awkward.
I know, and now people know what it is, and I'm
Right.
sure I mean, it's still kind of cringe because it's influencers in the wild, but back
Yeah.
then, people just really did not. I mean, they'd be like, "What are you taking a picture of?" "Oh, are you taking senior photos?" And I'm like, "Do I look like I'm taking photos?"
Honored that you think that.
But thank you.
I know, thinking back to, like, the amount of, like, dumpsters that I like, like, the doors that would, like, cover a dumpster, the amount of photos I have, like, in front of something like that, just as, like, a plain background, I'm like,
I know.
"Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh."
"Oh my goodness." But then sometimes, I do miss those days sometimes because I felt like it was more creative
Yeah,
freedom, and now sometimes it can feel like a rat race, and so you kind of have
right,
to step back from that.
totally.
It's
So
what
then, like, what gave you the courage to say yes to starting your blog?
I kind of just decided to go for it. I also think it age with age comes more maturity and you just don't care as much what people
Yeah,
think of you, and that's what it always makes me scared for those younger ones starting out because when I was 18 years old, I did care what people thought of me, and I don't think I would have ever put myself out there.
right.
And I think once you get older, you kind of just get like, I'm gonna do what makes me happy, and then at some point, if you don't like this, then, you don't have to follow.
Totally. That's so true.
So I'm just, now I'm like, well, I love it. And so I just have to go forward with it.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so how did you come up with the name The Broke Brook?
Well, back in the day, I feel like everybody had to have a catchy name. There was no, just name blogs.
Yeah,
Everybody had something that they came up with, and so Andrew came up with that. Because we were in residency,
yeah,
and I had quit my job to stay at home with Charleston, so we were broke.
broke.
So we were broke. And so, I mean, I've always loved, and he had all the student loans from residency, so
Yeah,
back in the day when it started, yeah, it was full on, and now I'm like now maybe it's transitioning more to broke from shopping.
yeah.
That's
Well, it's funny.
moving on.
That's kind of I feel like I take it like that. I'm like, the broke Brooke because, like, she's gonna make you go broke with all of her
all of
great
her,
finds.
like, fine. So I was like, "Okay, well, it still kind of works both ways." But no, I feel like I always, though, have loved mixing high and low.
Yeah,
My mom and I growing up, we would go into nice shops and buy certain pieces, but then we loved going to Target and Walmart and finding random things because she's always instilled in me that you can find a good bargain and a good sale anywhere. So,
totally.
so we've always done a mixture of both, I think.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what is so captivating, just like knowing you over the past few years and like consuming your content is like some of the pieces that you find they are like, oh, wait, this is $39 from Amazon? Like that looks like the like $300 something. And so I think people really trust your finds knowing that that's something that you do like the higher price point items, but then there's like times where you can find something that's a little bit more affordable and like what's that in between?
Absolutely. Well, and that's what I'm like, just because something costs so much more doesn't always mean that it's better quality. Uh,
Totally.
Sometimes my $15 fines are equally as good, if not better, than, the 300 plus fines. So I think it's always just about mixing and finding that really good balance. But I also want people to know that having good style and dressing well doesn't have to cost a fortune. You can really put
Totally.
together some great pieces with on a budget.
I agree, and I also think it's, like, how you carry yourself when you're wearing these
Yeah,
pieces, I mean, you can look great in a Target dress if you've got, like, the right accessories paired with it and, like, if your confidence level, I think, like, that helps shine so much more than, like, a name brand.
absolutely. Well, and I think the other thing that people sometimes miss out is when you take those clothes that maybe are less expensive, it's the steaming them or the ironing them because they don't always come looking the best. And
Yeah.
the tip is
Yeah.
like make sure get a steamer, get
Yes.
that $15 steamer off Amazon and it will change your life.
Literally. Well,
Yeah.
and it's so funny because people will like, I do think sometimes the Amazon packaging, like, can scare people. You, like,
Yes.
take it out of its, like,
And you're like,
freezer zip.
"Oh," and it's like, let's unravel this."
You're like, "What did I really get here?" But once you, like, give it a little love and steam it out or iron or whatever, it is like, "Okay, I can see where this has potential." So that's a really great tip. And to us, I feel like it's so second nature because, like, things come out of packages, we're, like, steaming all the time,
Yeah.
but, that's not always the case for some.
No, and yeah, it's not, but I think it's also something that, my husband always thought that I was crazy when we got married because I iron, like, everything, and he's like, "What? Like, you were wasting so much time doing this?" And I'm like, "No, it looks a million times better when these things are ironed," and my mom has always been a person that irons clothes, and my
Yeah,
dad, and that's just what we do.
yeah. Listen, you're nice and pressed and everything is
Yeah.
looking good. Has there ever been a moment where you felt discouraged or overlooked because your content maybe, like, wasn't quote unquote curated?
Actually, I feel like I have had to go the opposite direction. I feel like I if I would have leaned into the video and the not perfected aesthetic images, I think that I probably could have grown a lot faster in that time period. I think I was stuck on like the pretty photos and nobody wants that anymore.
I know.
They want authentic, they want real life, they want what you're really doing, and so I think I probably hurt myself by being too judgmental of my own
I am right
results.
there with you though, because like but I just love like
I know.
I like to consume like a
Too.
pretty feed and like see the cohesiveness together. Like to me, that's like, ooh, like that's inspiring. Whereas I think not everybody obviously feels that way and they just want to be like related, like
Yeah,
I want to feel relatable. But I don't know, I'm, like, slowly starting to give that up a little bit, and
I know.
it's been, like, kind of really hard.
I know, that's what it was for me too, and then it was kind of when I was kinda let go is when I really grew more,
Yeah.
and so that was when that was then reassuring to me that I was like, "Okay, okay, people really do like this, even though it's just me." It
Right.
is like, I'm not necessarily putting this out there for me to consume.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
my pretty pictures of other people, and so if this is not what, they want, then I guess I need to I need to relook at
Yeah.
what I'm putting out there.
Well, and it's interesting too because for so long I was like, well, brands wanna like I want when a brand comes to my profile to
Yeah,
see like this is like what they can expect to get. But I think if you have sales, they're also like, great, like that's
that
where we're gonna check the box.
but yeah, I think that was a big shift seeing that just on LTK because, now, I mean, that's all brands' number 1 focus
Yeah.
pretty much.
Right.
Anymore.
Yeah.
It just is it's the economy's been tough for everybody, and they have people to report to, and so I think that sales are just kinda, that's how they're gonna prove to their team that these marketing efforts are worthwhile.
Totally. I watched this, like, reel today that was talking about influencer marketing and how it is becoming more popular than, like, traditional marketing, and the influencer ad spend is, like, projected to be at, like, $33 billion in 2025, and just how they want like, consumers just, like, don't trust the traditional methods of, marketing, and how, brands are spending so much more money getting, like, real people to share, like, real content, which is so fascinating because I feel like sometimes people will be like, "Oh, but, like, don't you think the influencer industry is going away?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
no."
I don't
Like,
so
at all.
Uh-uh. No, and, because there's just no way that and 2 people can take the same Walmart outfit, style it completely
Yeah.
different ways, and share it to 2 totally different audiences, and, like, they're never gonna be able to replicate that
Right.
and give that, the trust of me telling them, like, "Oh my goodness, like, this really is amazing quality,"
Totally.
and people trust that judgment that creators have. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think I hope that I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. No, I feel pretty confident that it is gonna be interesting though when, I feel like some of us who are like kind of on the older side of the influencer industry, like whenever we're like, you know what, I think I like want to retire, hang like what is that? Like, are we just gonna get on stories one day and be like,
I'm done.
is it? I mean, like, is that how it works? I don't know. There hasn't really been a lot of like, I've seen a few people that have sort of been like, I'm taking a break, and then they just like don't ever come back.
Back.
But I'm like, what is that process looking like? Is there going to be like a big retirement party? Like your followers get invited? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. Someday I'm gonna come and I'll come and I'll get you balloons and we'll have our
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about like building a business. Because one thing I think that people like don't realize is so many of us just like didn't really intend to be business owners when we started, but because we have to pay taxes, you have to start a business, and it's this whole thing that sometimes we're not even like capable of doing. Okay, so how did you start learning the business side of influencing? Today, I'm partnering with Nourish, and I'm genuinely so excited to share this with you. If you've been following along, you know I've worked with a dietitian, and it's been a total game changer for my overall health and wellness. That's what I love what Nourish is doing. They connect you with a registered dietitian covered by insurance in 94% of cases, which means most people pay $0 out of pocket for completely personalized support. Whether you're working on gut health, balancing hormones, or just trying to feel more energized, Nourish makes expert care easy and accessible, all from the comfort of your own home. You can head to usenourish.com/LeverlyGray or tap the link in the show notes to get started. Trust me, this is such a powerful step towards feeling your best.
So, obviously, I went into this 1000% as a hobby, and I
Yeah.
still go back to when I started it. In my mind, I thought the day this becomes not fun anymore, I will go back and I will do something else. And
Yeah.
I have never gotten to that point because it's truly such a blessing. And I think of so many times in my life that I'm like, I have the freedom to, go see my kids' stuff during the middle of the day. I have the freedom to go, when my cousin was sick, I could go see her during the middle of this. And I'm like, there's so many things that if I had a normal job and back to that life of when I had a CPA, I wouldn't be able to do any of this.
Right.
So, all of that, I think that I try to keep it as just sharing things that I love, and then I quickly realized that I'm like, "Okay, this actually could be a business," and I think that I knew how to run it as a business
Right.
just because I was a CPA and I had looked at so many businesses, and so that those thoughts were always in my head.
Yeah.
I love an Excel spreadsheet. I love analytics. And so
Man, I need to get Chris over here because he would be like, "See,
yes,
it's
let's
possible."
talk about it. And so I think that I always thought about it as then as soon as I realized that, I'm like, "Okay, I'm making money, so I gotta figure out how like, what write-offs do I have?
Yeah.
Like, I need to figure out how to, expense this, and, I need to know the proper ways of doing all of that to make it economically successful." And then as it's gone along too, I mean, every time you do this, I mean, it is taking away time from your family, and so now, you really do have to run it like a business because it takes so much time that
Yeah.
people have no idea.
It's wild how much is happening behind the scenes of every post,
Of
like
every post, like, I mean, and so I think about that, and I'm like, you know, I have sacrificed a lot of time being at things just because it takes so much to run a business that it I have to run it as economically successful as I can,
yeah,
things that I'm doing.
totally. Okay, so what shifted when you started sharing more about kids' clothing?
I think that it was a natural progression for me, and I think it's funny because I feel like I'm one of the older bloggers also out there, and so I think now there's a lot of people that share families because, they've gotten a little older and started having children, but
Yeah.
I think that that was truly the turning point for me is sharing kids' clothing, sharing I've found a passion for children's clothing, and I love it, so
Yes.
and just sharing all their little finds, and that was just where I was at daily. I remember during COVID I mean, I was home with Charleston every day, all day,
Yeah.
and so I just started sharing, like, what am I doing to entertain her? What am I feeding her with? What are we playing with?
Yeah.
And it did so much better than even just my normal fashion content, and there were so many other people in that same boat, and I think that's the
Right.
thing about all of this is that I sometimes I think to myself, "Am I too old to be here?" Like,
Mm.
the what is that movie that is, "Am I too old to be here?"
Um, oh my gosh, she's pregnant and she's, like, with her
Yes,
sister. What is that? Like, it's
I am totally
Knocked
blanking.
Up.
Knocked Up,
Knocked Up.
too old to be here. But then I think, well, because as I get older, my audience will get older too.
Totally.
So
It's so true.
it's so
Like, I think about that, like, the people who started following me when I was, like, working in corporate and sharing, like, workwear, like, they have evolved and, like, they've, gotten raises since then, so maybe, like, they're still looking for those good finds, but they have, like, they're willing to spend a little bit more now,
yeah.
and, I mean, you do have followers who are kind of on that same path with you. If you asked your kids, "What does mommy do for work?" What do you think they would say?
I actually asked this to Charlie recently because when we were doing summer and I was like, "Mommy has to work," and she was like, "Huh?" I was like, "Mommy has a lot of work to do." And I was like, "What do you think I do for a living?" She was like, "You don't know what you do for a living?" And I was like, "I know, but I just wanna hear what you think I do." And she goes, "So collabs? I hear you talk collabs. I don't know." I was like, "Okay."
That's hilarious. You're like, "Yes, I do that."
I do that. And then she's like, "I don't know. I see photos on Instagram, but, like, is that just for fun? Do you just like to post us?" And I was like, "Hmm, yeah,
Sure.
mhm."
I know.
But
My
it
kids are like, "You take pictures for your job." And I'm like, "Yep, that's yep."
that is what it is. But yeah, I think also coming through this process, I'm like, "She's never getting a phone." Like,
Oh my gosh, literally.
I'm never giving you a phone, but then it also terrifies me how she can take my phone and it's so intuitive to her. She can
Like,
pick it
she
up.
can do the code,
She
she can swipe around.
and
She'll always be like, can I text Nana?" And I'm like, "No, like, you don't get to touch my phone."
Oh, well, and that's what she's in 1st grade, and they have typing homework, and so she's already learned how to, like,
Yeah.
type, and she'll text my mom from, like, this computer when she gets to do her typing homework, and I'm like,
Oh
"Oh
my
my
god.
gosh." I'm like, "Ah," and then I was just like, "Okay, we've got to reel this back in."
I
But yeah,
know.
really, she's like, "So do I ever get a phone?" And I was like, "Not till you're in college."
Yeah. I told the kids the other day, they were like, "Well, when did you get a phone?" And I was like, "Well, when I turned 15, Nana and Papa got me a phone and, like, but it was different than what you guys have." And I was like, "I think probably when you're 15, we'll maybe think about giving you a phone then too." And so she, like, walked in the other day and she's like, "I'm 15. Can I have a phone yet?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Oh my gosh. No, 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 no,
But
no.
it's I'm just, like, very grateful that God knows what he's doing with having our kids grow up in the generation that they are growing up with. That is not lost on me that they are, like, here for a purpose and for a reason, even when it feels, like, hard and doesn't make sense to us. And I just have to trust that, like, we are gonna be solid parents and lead them in the right direction. But it is kinda scary sometimes, like, just things that they see and hear and learn and just, like, it's just wild.
I think that the biggest thing is Adrian and I have talked about is that we just can't be naive to it. Like, you can't
Yeah.
be naive to any of it because I'm just always gonna assume the worst, and
Yeah.
then we're
I
gonna bring it
know.
back.
I know.
Ah,
It is wild. Okay, so coming back to a little bit more like style related questions, what does style mean to you today? Not just as a blogger, but as a woman and as a mom.
I think style means being able to get up and put on something that just makes you feel your best and makes
Mhm.
you the best version of yourself. And I think for me, sometimes I people always joke that I love a statement earring. I don't know
You
why. I
do.
just love a statement earring. I just think it makes my outfit fun. And so just putting on things that accentuate and, makes you feel good in your own skin is I mean, there's just nothing better. And so I think helping people with that because I've always loved clothes. I mean, since the moment I was little, my mom and I loved going shopping, but I think there are so many people out there that they hate it. They hate
Yeah.
shopping for things. They don't know what looks good on them. And so when I get a message and somebody says, "Oh my goodness," like they'll send me a picture of some of it and they're like, "I wore that dress you suggested and I just felt amazing." And that just oh, it just makes my heart
Yeah.
melt because the fact that I could help somebody find that, it seems inconsequential, but it's so great that you can help a woman feel good about
Yeah.
themselves.
No, I totally agree with you. Okay, what are your top 5 go-to clothing pieces right now that make you feel good?
I love a dress in all seasons. I don't know why. I was talking to my friend about this. I have a hard time with jeans because I think my weight fluctuates. And so I'm like, sometimes it's hard for me to find the right pair. And
Yeah.
so a dress just always makes me feel put together. It can be flowy, loose, comfortable. I love a good handbag, something that well, and that's the other thing is I would always say a good tip is, whether it's a good neutral shoe or a great handbag, it can elevate any outfit that you put on, whether it's athleisure or not, and just some great jewelry that you love. I think it goes back to it's not necessarily what's trendy, but it's just pieces that you truly love and make you feel good.
Yeah. Well, and I think you don't have to if you like color and you feel like that like is exciting for you, like that's great. But sometimes like just wearing the basics in your closet,
Yeah.
but putting those accessories on, feeling confident in the shoes or the bags that you've chosen, like that's also enough. There's a few girls that I've like recently followed on Instagram and I feel like they are everything that they're showing is like pretty basic. Like it's all stuff that like everybody has in their closet, but it's the way they're wearing it or the way they've tucked it or the jewelry they're layering that I'm like, that looks so much more elevated than just like she put on a
Yes.
white tee and barrel jeans.
And it's
It's like the way
yes.
she made it work.
Yeah.
So I
Yes.
think it's like but one thing I've talked about before, and I think you would agree with me, it does take like a little bit of time to like invest in even if you hate shopping, even if you hate, like, you wanna find some pieces that are, like, good for you,
Mhm.
it does take a little bit of time to just kind of do that for yourself, um, figure out, like, what are those pieces that I will feel confident in, and
Mhm.
just, like, spend the time finding that out so that later when you're like, "I don't have anything to wear," you always know, "Well, that one set always, like,
Looks
makes me
good.
feel I'm gonna pull for that."
Yes. Yeah, and that's what I think it there's just so many, like, events now, I feel like, that people go to, and it's we've got school plays, and we've got this and that, and our life is just so busy now that I
Yeah,
think there's so many events that people need things for, and they want to feel put together. But yeah, taking that time to just really figuring out your own body, and I always know when I'm, like, looking on websites, I'm like, if I have a special event, I'm like, "Oh, I love that dress," but that's just not gonna look good on me. Like, I know that I think, like, figuring out what your body type looks good
yeah.
in, is truly half the battle, and once you figure that out, you kind of just, like, know what to, like, search for and look for.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, what would you say is like one of your most recent Amazon purchases that you've been like, "Oh my gosh, like this is so good."
I, purchased this perfume on Amazon. I think you can get it other places, but I randomly bought it on Amazon, and every time I wear it, somebody compliments me, and I'm like, "Okay, I've never been complimented on smelling good." And now
That's
that
so
I've been
funny.
wearing this, it's like this Mason Day I have to find it. I can't even it's like a French
Yeah.
and every single time I wear it, somebody says, "Oh, you smell nice." And I'm like,
Okay.
"Okay, I'm gonna start wearing this every day now."
Oh my gosh, that's I love like a random Amazon find that you're like, "Hopefully this works," and you get it and you're like, "This is the best thing
This
ever."
is the best thing ever. I know. Yeah, I truly I was on vacation and somebody was standing in line to me in the airport and she was like, "You smell so good." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, thank you."
I love that. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up. I've got a few questions left.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the best piece of advice that you have received?
Oh, so I actually this comes from Amber Vince Box. She always does these podcasts. I know that she's been on and chatted with you before too. And I think it was something that maybe her dad actually said to her, but it was the fact that when you say yes to something, you should know what you're also saying no to. And
Mhm.
I think that when she explained that, it resonated so much with me because when you're saying it and it goes for both personal life and professional, I I was always saying yes to so many things because I'm such a people pleaser that sometimes I got bogged down in the business world of
Yeah.
blogging because I just wanted to help out every single person that came along, and I was like, "Oh, yes, 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 yes," and then
Yes.
but then when I'm doing that, I'm not leaving space for some of these really great opportunities that fill my cup. And so I think that you have to think about that constantly every time you're saying that. Or even, I'm going to say yes to this trip to Nantucket, but like I have to say no to my kids that week. But that Nantucket trip is really gonna fill my cup, and so it's like you have to find that balance
Yeah.
of, well, there is no balance in motherhood, I don't think, but I think just examining what the yes, no, cost benefit is, that I don't know, that just really
Totally. I
resonated.
think once you, like, really start to think about it, it definitely is like, "Huh, okay, like, I am interested." It makes you like, is that a real yes, yes?
Yeah,
Or is that like, actually, I think I'm gonna stay home."
but I think I have been better at saying no to
Yeah,
things, and that was both professionally and personally. I just can't keep up with everything, and
yeah,
I finally let myself just start saying no because I just physically it's just you're like, "I can't
yeah.
do it all. I
Can't do it out.
can't
Yeah,
do it all," and so I'm like, sometimes I have to stay home and I can't go out with the girls or do something else, and so I think just I learned to say no a little bit more.
yeah. No, that's great advice. What's one thing you wish you could tell yourself back when you were just getting started?
Just post it.
Yeah,
Just post it because I think that I hesitated on so much, and when I look back at some of the greatest things or some of the things that have done the best,
yep,
things that I almost didn't even click post on because I
I
didn't
know,
think it was perfect or I didn't think I had done, a good enough job on it, and, just post it. Keep
I
going.
know. Yeah, that's like Uh, I think about that all the time, or even now, I'll
Yeah.
be like, "Oh, I didn't really love that," and I'm like, "Okay, in, like, 3 days, you're not even gonna, like, see this,"
No.
Like, you're gonna be like, "Oh, yeah, whatever." Like, but somebody might love it, and,
Yes,
like
yeah, yeah, and also, like, I spend too much time looking at it and being like, "Is this does this look good?" And other people they're just scrolling.
yeah.
They're
I
just,
used to be like, "Which photo should I use first, like, as the cover? Like, can I do it like, my head is, like, kinda
"This
this
way
way
or this."
or this way," And I'm like, "Well, the last time like, my head was that way, so, like, I feel like I need to." Nobody literally
No
cares.
cares. Too
It's
much
so
time wasted.
funny.
Yeah.
Ah, gosh, I know, that's a good one too. Okay, so I ask all of my, guests this question at the end of our episodes. What is the most meaningful act of kindness that somebody has extended to you that has had a lasting impact on your life?
I so there's so many things. I think I'm gonna go the business route side of this, and I have 3 things, and they all tie back to community connection and not gatekeeping. I say the first one is when, Palm Beach lately, Beth and Danielle, they are such good connectors. They invited me to
Yes,
that event in Palm Beach. I met so many amazing people. I feel like they like took a chance on me. They didn't really know me, and so I'm like, I feel like they were inclusive, they were fun. And so I'm like just extending that invitation. The second one was you and Jess Cathell told me to get connected with Estate 5, and that changed my life
yes.
for the better.
Oh my gosh.
And then I have this like little deep links group, and they shared about like deep for the bloggers know about deep linking and stuff. And I think it all goes back to being inclusive and, sharing the information with
Totally.
each other. I think that there's we can all rise together. And
Yeah,
I think just all of the people that have extended that kindness out to me when you just don't know what you don't know. And
yeah.
when people share that information, it's just invaluable and truly just an act of kindness and have changed my business in so many different ways.
Totally. I love that. It's so interesting. I feel like there's times in this business that I can like pinpoint. I'm like, one person gave me this advice and then I tried
Oh,
it and then like, oh my goodness, all these things opened up. And
yeah.
yes, maybe it was a risk on my point, but they like wanted to share. They
Yeah.
weren't keeping anything or and so it's always like kind of like a pay it forward, like how can I
Yeah.
help somebody else with something that really worked with me? And I think that's like what is one thing that's really beautiful about this industry right now. And I feel like a lot of the people that you were just with in Nantucket are all just very like, hey, this is what's working for me. This is what's like I tried this, and that I felt like that when we were at Amazon together
Yeah.
last year, and just some of the conversations we were having, like, we were learning so much from other people.
Yes.
So really, like, back to your point on community, it's so important to just be surrounded by people in this industry that, like, you trust and can lean into because I feel like that's truly how so many of us have grown over the years.
Absolutely, and just having each other's back
Yeah,
when we bounce ideas off of each other, "Hey, this isn't working," "What are you doing on this?" And I think just the willingness to share is
yeah,
is just takes us all so much further.
totally. That's so true. Well, Brooke, this has been very exciting. I think my listeners are going to love hearing from you, hearing just how you got started and what, brings you passion and what fires you up every day to keep sharing. So I appreciate you joining me on today's episode.
Oh my goodness, it was truly my honor. I have just loved you forever, and then, I have people and they're like, "Is she really that nice in person?" Like, "She is, and she's better." And so
You're
that's
so
that's
sweet.
so fun to tell people.
I love that. Well, I appreciate that. Tell our listeners where they can find you on Instagram. I
Oh, yes.
Everybody's going to need to
I
follow you right away.
am at the Broke Brook. I was laughing because I'm like, "Should I change my name to Brooke Jensen?" And I did a poll one time, and I was like, "Does anybody know my last name?" And they were like, "Nope."
Literally.
So I guess I'm forever the Broke
The
Brook.
Rogue Brook. I literally people don't know that my name's Brittany, so I feel
Yeah.
that. So funny. Well, Brooke, thank you so much, and you guys are gonna love this episode. I'm gonna leave links to, Brooke's blog and her, Instagram in the show notes so you can just easily pop over and give her a follow. Until next time, friends.